So 2 days, 48 hours, one a blockchain, one a innovation day. So, and our first speaker is amazing Henry Arslanian, fintech and crypto leader of PwC Hong Kong.
Yes, Henry, it's your turn. Yes, go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much for the introduction, Sergey and Ivan. Great to be here, and very happy to kick off this great event. Guys, today I'm very excited to be with all of you today. Really, my goal today is very simple. Is I want to share with you all some of the latest global crypto trends that we are seeing right now in the world, and hopefully empower you with this information and then let you make your own decision of what the future of finance and innovation is heading in the field of crypto. Hope it sounds good. Before I start, I always make this warning around the world. First is, be careful. If anybody tells you they're a crypto expert, despite that everybody's in lockdown, you see the door and you run away. I can tell you, I spend 24/7 of my time in this space, and I really have no idea what's going to happen even a month from now. The reason being is this industry is really moving at a dog year, where a week in this space is like 7 weeks in the normal world. So this is why today I'm just going to focus on 5 very simple things. And I presume everybody's able to see my slides, but I'm just going to focus on 5 global crypto institutional trends. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And I'm going to let you make your own decision on what you think that will be the impact on the future of finance. So let's kick it off. The first one is really how the crypto industry is becoming institutionalized. Over the last couple of months and years, the crypto industry has grown a lot. It went from a couple of startups in the sector to having now companies that many of them are even making hundreds of millions of dollars of revenues a year, and many of them are very institutionalized. And for example, one area is the custody space, where just only 2 years ago, again, a lot of people in the community were self-custodying their keys. Well, still a lot of people do it, and we move on to regulated offerings on custody. And now we're actually moving to a lot of financial institutions offering or partnering with other crypto firms to offer institutional grade custody. But also then there's been other examples on the derivative side. In crypto derivatives, for example, we had, or since the last couple of years, a lot of unregulated offerings. We move on to some of the cash settled Bitcoin futures last year. And now this year, we're moving to physically settled Bitcoin futures and derivatives. So again, just a show of how the industry is becoming more institutionalized. But also many of the players, a lot of the crypto players right now are getting not only audits from the Big Four, but also a lot of these kind of third-party certifications that are very relevant and very important for professional and institutional investors to come in the sector. And there's been a lot of new regulatory requirements as well. But then one of them right now is a travel rule that really requires all exchanges to send to each other beneficiary and originator information, very similar to what banks operate. But this is with the goal to avoid money laundering and actually to be able to keep the industry clean. And this is, again, very important to allow the industry to move to a 2.0 level. And anti-money laundering, as I was mentioning right now, and it has become a big area of focus. Again, if you think that just because you're dealing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, you are immune for all the global regulations around money laundering, terrorist financing, or human trafficking proceeds, well, you're wrong. For us, community, is it very important that we stay on top of a lot of these developments and we're able to actually we actually stay within the realm of these regulations. And I'm sharing my screen, but I'm not sure if everybody's able to see my screen though, Ivan. So I'll leave it up to you guys to see if there's anything to be fixed.
Yes, I can see your screen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Excellent. So let's move on to the second item, which is regulatory clarity and enforcement. Again, as we're talking about the regulations around the world, one of the big topics comes in is what is the type of regulatory clarity enforcement we are seeing in the space. Today, numerous countries around the world have issued regulations on crypto digital assets. Most of the countries you see where there's a lot of crypto activity have taken a view. Some don't like it, like China, for example, but many others have come up with a framework to try to provide some clarity to the crypto space. And actually today, according to Cambridge University, only 5% of regulators around the world do not have somebody working on crypto. Again, I would say that in my personal experience, the average regulator that I speak with is way more knowledgeable on crypto than the average financial services professional. Again, regulators often, I would say, that do not get the credit they deserve for the work they've been doing in the space. And now there's actually one of the big areas that I think we need improvement globally is tax clarity, because we need regulations to let professional institutional investors to come into space. But it's very good to have regulations, but you also need tax clarity. You need to know what are the tax footprint that's going to be applicable to you as people are entering the space. But there is, and there will be even more enforcement cases moving forward as well. Make no mistake, people will go to jail for some of the bad actions they've taken over the last couple of years. You know, in the first couple of years, 2017, 18, we had a lot of actually enforcement cases for like people were marketing ICOs. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of people just selling and promoting ICOs in ways that are not proper as per regulations, But then obviously last year, a lot of the change, the regulators continued with their enforcement. Again, trying to target firms that were doing a lot of mis-selling or who may have provided tokens, but that were actually considered securities in many jurisdictions. And we should expect this to continue this year. I think many of you who have been following the Telegram developments of the last couple of months, and especially last week or 2 weeks ago, and also what's been happening with Kik as well, this is definitely an area to follow of what's going to happen from a regulatory perspective around the world. But this all brings in to one very important point, which is the entry of institutional players in the crypto space. Again, make no mistake, in order for the ecosystem to grow from where it is to go to the next level, we need, whether we like it or not, institutional players to come in. Because again, whether we like it or not, they bring a lot of some experience and expertise, especially when it comes to tackling a lot of the different kind of investor base, from the large trading firms to regulator players who want to access this ecosystem. And we are really seeing a lot of these institutional players continuously enter the space. Yes, some of them is due to more regulatory clarity, but some of it is due to existing client demand. And what's been happening now, we've seen players enter the space in various different ways. For example, some of them have been purely investing in the space. Others have been partnering with firms. And you can see great examples here with Nomura or Julius Baer. Others have been launching in-house initiatives. You know what's been happening, for example, with JP Morgan with their JP Morgan coin, or Mizuho, who has a similar initiatives. But many others have set up a separate entity to deal purely with digital assets. And that's what, for example, Fidelity has been doing, or ICE with the Intercontinental Exchange, which owns the New York Stock Exchange, has been doing with Bakkt. But also, we're seeing now banks continually open up to the sector. For example, we all heard the news 2 weeks ago with JP Morgan finally opening up accounts to Gemini and Coinbase, for example, in the US. But another development that's been really catalyzing this is the rise of stablecoins. Again, as we all know, stablecoins are digital assets that are backed one-to-one by fiat currencies and by the various fiat currencies around the world. And there's a number of different models of them. Some of them are regulated, like many of them in the US, like Paxos to Gemini Dollar or USD Coin. Some of them are non-regulated, like Tether, which is by far now the biggest one in the world when it comes to market cap and volume. And then obviously you have the decentralized ones, which I won't have time to go into today, but they're very interesting when we talk about the world of DeFi and the developments going on there. And really, there's been a continuous rise in the usage of stablecoins. I was mentioning Tether, and then many others are in the market. And you can really see right now that there's a rise of stablecoins in the market. There's a couple of reasons to it. One of them is for a lot of people like crypto hedge funds who are trading digital assets in times of market volatility, like we had last month. Stablecoins allow them to actually put their assets into something that is stable without leaving the crypto ecosystem. And that is actually pretty good development from that side. And the question is, they can enter the space without needing to go back to the fiat world. And also, frankly, for a lot of people who are looking at cross-border payments or other exchange mediums, where stable coins, as we all know, have many benefits compared to fiat payments. And this is why the total stablecoin supply has gone over $10 billion, which is almost a growth of 70% since literally 3 months ago. And this is why a lot of banks are looking into it as well, because they're thinking, okay, well, what if I become the ecosystem? What if I become the trusted entity that is issuing the stable coin? And I let my clients, between them for these different payments, use stable coins rather than go by the SWIFT network or other existing rails for payments. Another big development we have been seeing is really the increased investor interest. Very interesting. I know for a lot of these different conversations we have been seeing over the last couple of years, the big question is when we were going to hit this billion users, not only on the retail side, but also on the institutional investors and the more professional investors to come in the sector. For example, one thing we have been seeing is really the rise of crypto fundraising activity. Over the last couple of months, there's been a lot of new players, a lot of players that we know have been continuously raising money. What's been very interesting, and for those of you interested, I publish every 6 months in my PwC Global Crypto Head Leader capacity, a global crypto M&A and fundraising report. And we just published our latest version 3 weeks ago, where we share data on the latest global crypto M&A and fundraising trends. One of the big trends that we are seeing right now is that for the first time in the recent years, the majority of crypto fundraising and deals activity is happening outside of the US, where we're seeing really a growth in markets like EMEA and APAC, where a lot of fundraising is happening from that perspective. And a big winner of this is because a lot of the deal size are also increasing in size. For example, when you see here on the slide, the average ticket size for 2018 to 2019, the type of deal that are post-seed have increased materially from 15 to 22%. And this makes it even more interesting for a different bunch of investors that tend to be a bit more institutional, who are keen to enter the space and put capital into crypto companies. But also, it's very important because when you look at globally, the amount of capital being raised within the crypto ecosystem, again, a big chunk of it is taking place via traditional venture capital, private equity, or family offices. Again, if you look at last year, 2019, one transaction out of three, about 1/3 of the fundraising opportunities was being done by traditional venture capital funds or investors. So again, they still remain a big source of investor in the space. The other thing as well is a lot of the traditional hedge funds are entering the space. We heard all the news 2 weeks ago of Paul Tudor Jones, who's now actually buying Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. And this was followed really a month before with Renaissance Technology, a hedge fund with over 75 billion in assets under management, making itself provisions to actually allow it to actually enter the space as well. So again, what's happening as well, we're seeing a lot of more interest. One of the reasons as well, we're seeing a lot of interest in options, CME options, for example, and futures were now at record highs as well. And as you can see in the slide, this has been going up materially in recent months. But one other thing is, and I apologize, I'm seeing a lot of comments saying that you're not able to see my slides, but I'm sure we can look at it. I mean, we're sharing the slides on the screen, so I don't know what's happening there. But one thing I'll mention is actually what you see. So I'll try to describe a bit my slides as well for those of you who are not able to see my presentations. What's happening as well for a lot of the crypto hedge funds is an area we're seeing a lot of growth. So for example, today, the total AUM last year of crypto hedge funds went from 1 billion to 2 billion in assets under management. So again, a very interesting development where you saw the total AUM went up. But what's even more interesting is that the percentage of crypto funds that have gone up from to have the AUM over 20 million has gone up from 19 to 35%. This means a lot of the actually bigger funds are getting bigger. And why this is relevant is, again, what I have in the slide for those of you who are able to see it, is that both the average and the medium hedge fund have doubled. AUM has doubled in the past year. This means actually that a lot of the bigger funds are growing, getting bigger, and this is again important because for a lot of the institutional investors, when they try to invest in crypto hedge funds, they have restrictions where they cannot be more than 10% of a certain fund. So again, for these funds to get bigger, it's easier for institutional investors because they can actually deploy meaningful capital to some of these funds. But again, if you look at the data, and as you can see on the slide, for those of you who can, again, when you look today in the global crypto hedge fund universe, 90% of investors in crypto hedge funds are either family offices or high net worth individuals. So again, this shows that we're at a very early stage of the institutionalization of the crypto hedge fund industry, because again, over the next couple of years, I expect to see that the number of type of investors to increase to have more foundations, endowments, and other type of fund of funds. Again, for those of you interested, I launched last week at Consensus the second global crypto hedge fund report. So you can find a lot of that information. If you just Google it, you'll find the crypto hedge fund, PwC crypto hedge fund report. Again, I mean, just to give you a data point, today, the average crypto hedge fund today has about 28 investors. And the average ticket size, investor size in a crypto hedge fund is around 300,000 US dollars, which is, again, very little when you compare it to global standards. So that's one thing to have and bear in mind from that perspective. And I'll finish up with the biggest development are central bank digital currencies. I think for any of you who's heard me speak in recent months around the world or virtually recently, I think you have to keep an eye on CBDCs. Again, if today you're a central banker and you love Bitcoin, I mean, you're crazy. It's a bit like a taxi driver being excited to see Uber coming in the market. And that's really the reaction we saw a lot of central banks have initially over the last couple of years on the topic of CBDC, central bank digital currencies. Again, to make sure that everybody understands on the line, which are digital currencies issued by central banks. For example, as you can see here, the BIS, which is a club of central banks, initially was very skeptical about the topic. In 2018, they said that actually we believe that actually cryptocurrencies are a pure substitute for the solid institutional backing of money. Even the ECB said that in 2018 as well, that actually they're worried that if they launch a CBDC, it could actually create a systemic threat to the global banking ecosystem, because actually if things go wrong, they can create a run on the banks. And this is why all this change, all these topics of CBDC was a very academic conversation. We used to discuss it at academic conferences. It was very theoretical. And all of this changed in the summer of 2019, almost a year ago now, when Libra was announced. And Libra, you may hate it, you may like it. One thing that it did is that it put the topic of CBDCs on top of the agenda of any central bank around the world. And of course, then people that hated it, like Donald Trump famously hated it. As you can see here, US politicians hated it. They started threatening companies who are part of the Libra Association. And even the BIS, the group of central banks, came in and said, hey, this is actually dangerous because it may create a threat to monetary policy. And this is why you had a lot of policymakers being very worried of the rise of this kind of assets around the world. But this is why now we're having a lot of discussions on the topic of CBDCs. For example, around the world, you're seeing a lot of central banks not only discuss it, but a lot of them actually look actively at it. Today, 80%, according to the BIS, of central banks around the world are conducting research into CBDCs, which is not surprising. And really, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. Again, I won't have time to address it here, but I just want you to know that there's wholesale CBDC, which is between central banks, and there's retail CBDC, which is really between the central bank and the people. And wholesale CBDC, frankly, it's still very complicated, but it's not that impactful on the public. Retail CBDC is where it becomes really impactful. And I think this slide is very important because it helps you really analyze, if I put my professor hat on, how the different types of CBDCs work out from a two-tier system where they use the existing banking system, like Sweden and China has been doing this, or the Bahamas, to the synthetic one, which is the IMF model, which the IMF has been putting forward, to the platform model, where really it's a kind of a technology platform that any bank or non-bank fintech can plug in. And this is the model that is being proposed by both the UK and Sweden in their 2018 proposal, and to a certain extent by the Dutch with their latest proposal a couple of weeks ago. And again, after this, Libra 2.0 came up, and Libra 2.0, which moved from an era of a kind of a new Libra coin they had to actually basically a single currency stable coin, again, being pleasing and more in compliance with the different regulations around the world. And Libra 2.0 has various differences compared to what we had before. For example, there is not a separate digital currency, but it's actually digital composite, a bit like what the IMF has, and where compliance with global regulations becomes critical. They're going to be licensed, the Libra Association with FINMA, and again, it's going to be very focused on that. And I'll finish it off with the big elephant in the room, which is China. China, as you all know, has been exploring digital yuan for some time. As you can see here, Xi Jinping last year made a big announcement on how blockchain technology is an important breakthrough where they need to increasingly invest. Bitcoin mining was removed from the list of the prohibited activities, which is issued from the NDRC, which is National Development and Reform Commission in China. And as well, literally a couple of weeks ago, the Chinese Central Bank, the People's Bank of China, confirmed that they are launching this pilot in 4 cities, which is in Shenzhen, Chengdu, Shougang, which is around China, and Suzhou on the eastern part of China. And this pilot will launch soon. So again, and there's a number of issues, there's a number of particularities to this China DCEP. I won't have time to go into it, but again, there's a lot of differences that make it very specific. It's obviously a permission network, has a lot of familiarities that the central bank will like from that side. But again, very, very interesting development when it comes to the growth on this. So again, I'll stop here. Again, I just want to finish it off to say with my big warning that anybody tells you they're a crypto expert, you're going to run away. But hopefully these 5 developments that I shared with you all are insightful of where we are heading from a global institutional perspective. For those of you who want to find out more, you can find me on Twitter at henryarslanyan.com. But the best way to find me is on my LinkedIn, where I have this weekly show called the Crypto Capsule, where I summarize global developments you need to know in less than 60 seconds. And I have my weekly newsletter called The Future of Money that comes out every Saturday, which again, you can find on my LinkedIn page. You can find the scan here. You can see it here. So thank you very much, everybody. It was a pleasure sharing my passion of the future of money with all of you. And I'll pass it back to you, Sergey and Ivan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Henry. Actually, we have still 5 minutes, and maybe I can answer you some questions. I can ask you some questions. So regarding the latest development with Telegram and with this withdrawal from further development of the network. So what's your opinion? How it will influence on the whole crypto market, and what will be the next with this?
Yeah, thank you, Ivan. Great question. And no, obviously, I think for the audience, as you know, Telegram did a token sale about 2018, where they raised $1.7 billion, where they were building a new second generation blockchain called Ton. And really, the goal was to leverage the Telegram messaging platform that many of you have, which already has a couple 100 million users, and actually kind of new way for people to exchange value on it. Unfortunately, they came into a number of issues, which is that, although 1.2 billion of the 1.7 they raised was from investors outside of the US, there was again a couple 100 million from US investors. And the US regulators, as well as the courts, judged that what they've issued was a security. So obviously what the issuance was in violation of securities rules, but also that, which is obviously quite controversial, that they could not issue the token to people around the world because there was a risk that a US person would have access to it. Again, we can spend the whole afternoon debating whether it's an extraterritorial impact of the US regulations and US courts. But I think this brings a couple of important points. One of them is that I expect to see regulatory compliance to be even more at the forefront of anybody doing token sales. Token sales will continue, and there's been continuing. As you know, PwC will release every year a global ICO, STO, IEO report. You can find a lot of data. Again, you can Google that online. But I think the biggest impact of this will be that, unfortunately, I think we're still going to see a lot of the developments in the crypto space happen outside of the US. And I think we may see kind of 2 roles develop, where we're going to have the US crypto ecosystem, where some projects will actively make the decision to target US investors. But I think for many of them, they will just stay outside of the US. And frankly, right now, I would argue, and as many of you know, I'm based in Hong Kong, that where I'm seeing the most activity right now globally when it comes to crypto, I would probably argue it's probably Asia. And I think that's where we're seeing a lot of increased activity now in Asia compared to the West. So again, that's, I would say, are 2 main takeaways. But again, it brings in a topic that unfortunately this is something that a lot of projects will need to deal with moving forward.
Okay, great. So, and my second question is about STOs. So what do you think about, because it's still not very popular model, and it's still, I think, the reason is the regulation in different countries. And basically, many people and me as well, so have the opinion that STO basically it's not very different from IPO, for example, when there are only accredited investors are allowed to buy the security tokens.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Ivan. So on the security token offering, I think it's a very interesting development. So again, if I put my my professor hat, I put my lawyer hat on, I think security token offerings are very, very exciting for a couple of reasons, right? Obviously, for the audience to know, what does a security token offer do? Is, for example, if I take a big building today, I may not be able to buy a big building. A lot of large buildings have what we call an illiquidity discount because only a few people can buy these big illiquid assets. Imagine if I take a big building and now I separate into 10,000 little tranches of of a certain amount of money, then it not only creates more liquidity, as in more people can buy it, but also, again, this is very exciting from a lawyer perspective, allows you to completely streamline corporate actions and also voting. Today, if any public company who's listed on a stock exchange wants to conduct do a dividend, literally we call it X date, where everything stops so we can know who the shareholders are and do a dividend payment, which frankly, in 2020, it's a bit embarrassing that that's how we operate. The beauty of security tokens offerings is that basically now enables us, frankly, to maybe move to even not only quarterly dividends, but also weekly, daily dividends if we wanted to, or even live dividends if we wanted to. And I think so. Really, I think it allows us to have the process a bit way more streamlined than we have today. I think right now we're seeing some challenges with our STOs. I think the technology is ready. I'm seeing many platforms today around the world that allows us to do an STO really in way more improved ways than we have in the traditional ways. The problem we're seeing is threefold. One of them is there's a number of platforms, so which one is going to be the dominant one? Second is the investor interest. Again, for a lot of the investors, they're not too familiar with security token offerings. And that's why, ironically, a lot of the crypto companies are still raising money with traditional convertible notes or traditional fundraising equity rounds. So unfortunately, that's what we're seeing right now. Unfortunately, also for your point on retail investors, I do not believe that even if security tokens become more accepted, that we're going to be able to target the retail audience anytime soon. Because again, security tokens fall within the regulatory space of the retail and institutional investor when it comes to marketing. And I do not believe that we will be allowed to market security tokens to retail public in the same way that you're not allowed to market securities, unless to the public, unless you're registering them. So I do not think that will change from that perspective. Although for professional investors, it may get streamed down.
Yeah, fully agree. Okay, Henry, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your keynote. It's really great information. And yeah, thank you very much for being the first speaker on our event.
I look forward to keeping in touch and keeping in touch with the audience via LinkedIn or it's Twitter. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Henry. Yeah, bye-bye.
Live streaming has stopped.
Tian Yang, are you here?
Okay, yeah, Tian, are you here? Can you hear as well?
Yes, I'm here. Hey, you guys, nice to meet you. This is Tian.
Yeah, that's great. So we are starting in 4 minutes.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, so 5 minutes. Yeah, great. Thank you.
So during the presentation, I can share my screen, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So you can see the share screen button on the left bottom.
Okay, great. So how things going? Everything going well?
Yeah, everything is well. So we actually experienced some technical issues, and so also some like registration for speakers. But actually, I didn't see any online event that went smoothly during like
That's
the
true.
last couple of months. Even consensus. So there were a lot of technical issues with Umbrella, with the scheduling, and with also like with this conference calls, and yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But you also did your own event, right?
We
Last
just
week.
finished.
Paintball.
We just finished last week.
Yes. So
Yes.
what's your feeling? So what's your experience?
Online event. That was pretty.
Live streaming is on.
Yeah.
Live
Okay, we are
streaming
live.
is
I think we are
on.
live now, right, Sergey?
No, not yet, please.
No, we are not
Couple
live.
of seconds, please. Yes, we go on live on our right time. Just keep calm. Everything is good. Yes, couple of seconds.
Okay, fine. So just let me know when we are live.
We still have 2 minutes.
Guys, we can arrange the lunch. We can launch our meeting now. Jianyong, you can go ahead. Yes, now we are live. We are on air, and your turn.
Yeah, let me introduce. So we have here Tian Yang, who is the CEO of Teams. You can introduce yourself. So you can introduce your company. And I know you were doing the live event last week, so that was great also. Yeah. So your turn, please.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Hello, everyone. This is Tian. My full name is Tianyu Yang. I'm the CEO of Teams. As you mentioned last week, we also host a online virtual summit. It was pretty fun, and thanks for the opportunity to have me today.
Nice,
So-
great.
Yeah. So Teams is a blockchain solution company. We started from 2017 until now. We have been in this industry for 3 years. So thanks again. That's the week. I think you guys are doing a really great job to have everyone to share knowledge, information, even experience about cryptocurrency and also blockchain technology. So today my topic is going to be why marketing and community is pretty important for projects. So I'm going to share my screen now.
Everything is good? Yes, you can see the screen share button in left. The monitor appears.
Yeah, I put it already. But after the share button and nothing came up.
Oh, really? So nothing coming up, right?
Yeah.
Can you try to log in from another browser?
Daniel, please try to log in via another browser. Do you have it on your on your computer?
Again?
Daniel, we
I'm in
see
Google Chrome. That doesn't work.
This doesn't work. Do you have another one browser on your computer now?
Yeah, I have. I'm trying to log in from
try
another.
to log in via another browser.
Sure.
The best way to do it via Google Chrome, if you have it.
Yeah, this moment I'm in Google Chrome.
You hear now talking via Google Chrome?
Yes. Let me try again.
Okay, yeah.
Live streaming is on.
Another browser doesn't work.
Иван, ты сможешь взять презентацию, если надо?
Or I can send my deck to you. Maybe
Yes,
you
for
can.
sure. Yes, for sure.
Screen.
Иван,
Okay.
ты сможешь взять презентацию? Иван тут?
I'm here. Yeah. You can
Yes,
send me the presentation and I can share it.
Ага.
So I send the presentation to the group. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, which group did you send the presentation? Because I can't.
Now Tian is not with us. That's why, yes, maybe he goes to reconnect to our speaker room.
Live streaming has stopped.
Я остановил здесь трансляцию сейчас.
Я понял, я тоже там остановил, потому что сейчас надо будет найти его уже трансляцию и запустить дальше. То есть пока мы не в эфире сейчас. Как называется его топик? Иван, посмотри, пожалуйста, как называется его топик.
Внизу же написано.
Ну, я понял, я сейчас в другом месте, поэтому подскажи мне.
Why marketing and community are so important?
Да, я понял. Все, включай его трансляцию. Чтобы я отсюда увидел и запустил. То есть каждый раз тебе надо, ты понял, когда ты там вставляешь ключ, отсюда надо включать. С YouTube еще раз включать. Оттуда он не включается.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me again?
Yes.
Ivan, I sent the deck to you right now.
Okay, so where do you send the deck? So to my
The email.
Okay, fine. Let me check it.
The time is still okay, and then I will just cut another 10 minutes. So I will just use another 10 minutes to share. It's okay.
Okay. Which email did you send?
Live streaming is on.
So Tian, which email did you send?
The one, Ivan V IVAN at uvecon.vc.
Let me check. Okay, I think I found it.
Okay, great.
Guys, we are ready to start. Yes, I'm waiting for you. Ivan, when
Yes,
from your
1
side,
minute.
yes.
1
This
minute.
goes- Yeah. for
Okay,
sure.
so because the presentation originally 20 minutes, but because of this, I'm going to only share 10 minutes. So then the time schedule is going to be okay. So guys, don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ivan, now we are waiting for you. Just when
Yes, I'm opening the presentation.
Yes. When presentation going to be appears, yes. Tian, you can start.
Okay, so let me share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, but it's black. Nothing appears.
Really?
Say the same for me.
Yes.
Oh, strange. Let me try again.
Maybe you have to turn on the video.
Yeah, I think it's some. Yeah, I think it's some problem with. Can you see it right now?
It works. Now it works.
Okay,
it works?
perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we are on air. Yes, go ahead.
So now we start?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Tian, CEO of Teams. So Teams is a blockchain solution company. We're based in Tokyo, Japan. We started from 2017 until now. We have been in this industry for 3 years. So today, thanks for the opportunity, especially thanks for that week to make the virtual event to let everyone to share knowledge, experience, and information about crypto, also about blockchain technology. Thank you again. So today, my share topic is going to be why community and marketing is very important for projects. So before the core topic, I would like to share some information about Japan and China's market, especially for English-speaking area. Probably the community want to know more information about this, about these two markets. So first, I would like to start from Japan. About Japan, there are 6.45 million crypto traders in this industry. Is quite a lot from the quantity side. At the same time, Japan is the global second BTC trade market. So total Bitcoin trade volume based on currencies 24 hours, that is around 280 Bitcoin. It's a lot too. So at the same time, Japan has the most licensed exchanges. Until now, there are 22 licensed crypto exchanges in Japan. Probably the most country who gave license to trading platform from the global market. So Japan, one point can give the description about Japanese market. That is, first one is going to be the regulation, because the government is very, very working hard to make crypto rules more clear. Second is the community is huge. People, especially for a main coin trading, Japan definitely one of the main market. So I'm going to give a very short summary about this market. Number one is about the size, the quantity. Number two is regulation that I mentioned already. Number three is there are still less local Japanese crypto projects happening. So if you are a good quality crypto projects, maybe now is a good opportunity chance to jump into Japanese market. Number four is exchanges competition happening, because there are already 22 licensed crypto exchanges happening here. At the same time, there are more trading platform are applying for Japanese trading license in the near future. So all the crypto exchanges are already start more secure, more attractive products and services to the whole crypto community. So the competition between exchanges happening already. And if you are thinking to jump into a Japanese market, so I would suggest you first be prepared. At the same time, understand the information, rules, and also what you can do, what you cannot do in Japanese market. And then very pretty much welcome to join this community. Relative to Japan, I would say Chinese community is more active than Japanese crypto community. Even now, we even don't know how many crypto exchanges are in China. Also, the leading Binance, Huobi, OKX, those exchanges, main team are all from China. So at this moment, from the information that we get about Chinese market is about CBDC, DeFi, and all the derivative exchanges, products, and services are getting a lot of attention. So if you are a project, you want to jump into Chinese market, we suggest you to work some of the trustful exchanges to open your Chinese market. If you are exchanges that you are looking for community or users, so probably better to work with some of the local active community agency to open your Chinese market. But one point need to share with everyone, the competition in China is pretty much, so be prepared, always give faster, secure, and give more competitive product services to Chinese community. And then I will move to today's topic, why the marketing and the community are so important for projects, especially for international, I would say, out of Japan, out of China projects. If we want to join this two market, marketing and community are definitely
3:30 your time, right?
Yes. My question is about that because here,
Yeah.
yes, on the screen we see.
So you can present now, or we can wait half an hour. So it's up to you.
How many people are there online currently?
Well, we need to check because we are streaming to YouTube and so several other channels.
Okay,
So I
but
cannot
you're
say you
recording it,
exactly.
right? Are you recording it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, because what happened is I have informed to all my network and friends and everybody that the presentation would start at 3:30 Hong Kong time. So
Oh, okay. So let's wait. Let's wait.
I don't mind to
Yeah,
start now.
enough.
If I do it now, then they might miss it. And but if you do have a recording, I can just share the recording afterwards. So
I think it's better to wait 30 minutes if you don't mind, so that we can also be well prepared and I think more audience will come.
okay, that's fine. And let me
Okay.
check again to see if I can share the screen.
Yes. Let's try.
Yeah. You able to see?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
perfect. So we will wait half an hour and then waiting for you back. Yeah.
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wait a second, please. Just a couple of seconds, please, Bowie. Maybe we can start now. Wait a second, please.
No. Let's not. Сергей.
Да. Не стоит, да?
Не будем, потому что она шерила информацию о своем лайвстриме с сетью.
Okay, you already have shared your information, the information about live stream with your channel, yes, within your community. They are waiting for you at 7:30.
I mean,
Okay.
for conferences, I mean, people understand that people like time might come earlier or a little later, running late, so that's very normal. So I'm completely okay to start now. Because if you wait another 15 minutes, and people might just leave, right? So if you have anyone online,
I think it's better to wait 30 minutes because we can also fix some issues, and also more audience will come because as far as I can see, so more audience is coming. So let's wait 30 minutes. Okay.
go ahead. Let me know whenever you are ready. I will start.
Okay. Thank you, Bobby.
Слушай, а что за проблема там у нас? Иван, ты тут?
Я здесь. Во-первых, у нее время все через полчаса, которое по расписанию идет. Она со своим нетворком расширила. Во-вторых, дай передохнуть чуть-чуть. У меня тут сыпется со всех сторон просто.
Подскажи, смотри, что ты должен сделать. То есть, какие дальнейшие действия. Ты заходишь обязательно в YouTube студию. Обязательно. И только